What is going on, guys? Got a brand new scope in, and I'm happy about this one. This is a Primary Arms 3 to 18 by 50 millimeter, and it is a first focal point with locking turrets, and it has the hood reticle. If you're not familiar with the hood reticle, it is definitely something you should get familiar with. This is my first hood reticle. I've always used the R grid reticle, which is more of just a mill grid. When I first got my mill grid, I wasn't too familiar with Primary Arms, so I took a chance on them, and I love it. And I haven't turned back since. Ever since I got that reticle, I've been buying nothing but Primary Arms, and they are a blast to shoot. I'm set up at unknown distance. According to the reticle, I'm around 700 yards. So I'm going to load up 5 shots. This is my Remington 700 ACSS. It has a Trigger Tech trigger in it. It has a Surefire muzzle brake or compensator, and it has an Atlas bipod on it. Everything else is pretty much stock bolt and all that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna take 5 shots. It's starting to snow a little bit, and it just got done dumping on me. So I'm gonna take a couple quick shots and then put my camera away, and then I'll give you my final impressions once I get inside.
So this is the actual sight picture looking through the 3 to 18 by 50 millimeter scope. My target is a 12 by 20 inch steel target that I paint orange. And hanging off the bottom is an 18-inch long 2x4 that I painted green, and I mounted it to the stand of my target. The reason I have that 2x4 there is that's what I use to get on my range estimation. The hood reticle is calibrated for an 18-inch wide target, which is the average human size, shoulder to shoulder. So because my target's a little smaller, I had to adapt something else to measure an 18-inch long target so I can use the scope properly. And this is what I came up with. So let's get back to shooting.
All right, guys, 700 yards. That was a hit. All right, guys, second shot. That was a hit. I'm shooting the Nozzlers custom competition. I loaded myself. I'm using Varget powder and CCI primers. Yeah, they're the 168. All right, that one I missed. I'm not sure if that was me, if I pulled it or something. Very possible. You know what it was, I think? I've been shooting with no wind, and now looking at my yarn, it is starting to blow a little bit, so I don't know if that has something to do with it, so I'm going to hold off a little bit on this one. Yeah, I think that's what it was. I didn't catch the wind picking up. It's been pretty calm all day, and then all of a sudden just kind of picked up a little bit. Not much. I would say maybe between a 2 and a 5 mile an hour wind. No, probably not even that. I was barely holding off. That's the other great thing about this reticle. It does have the wind holds. So next to every yardage meter where it tells you how many yards it is, there's two dots. One's at 5, one's at 10. So I held just off a little bit in between the 5 and right on, and that was a hit. So this is definitely a great reticle to get. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to actually see how far I can get this thing out. But today I'm gonna probably stick around 700 yards just because visibility is not that great. It's been snowing, everything's all white out there, but it's starting to get a little better now. But when I first got here, it was pretty bad. So I don't know if I'm gonna get some more snow coming in. So I'm gonna put the camera away and um, I'll fire it up when I get back to the house and go over all the actual specs on the reticle and what my final thoughts are on it. I'm gonna get some more shooting in on it before I let you guys know.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. This video was all about the unknown distance, shooting the 3 to 18 by 50 millimeter. And I gotta say, I am happy about this scope. This is definitely a fun scope to shoot. With the hood reticle on it, it takes all the math out of it. It makes it super simple, but having turrets that actually work, if you do want to dial it in, you can do that as well. And I've been going back and forth with how I shoot. Sometimes I just use a bullet drop. Sometimes I use the turrets to dial. And it all depends on the size of the target and the distance to the target, and if I have the exact range. A lot of times the rangefinder doesn't work all that well at far distance where I shoot at. You know, especially right now being winter, there's a lot of snow on the ground, so it's nice having the range estimator on the actual lens itself. And I call it a range estimator because it doesn't give you the exact distance. It just breaks it down in 100-yard increments, which is all you really need to get on target. I haven't had an issue with not being able to figure out how far it is. Um, if it's a little bit bigger than one line or a little bit smaller, you kind of just, give an estimate on where it is and then compare it to where it would be on your markings on your holdovers, and it's got me on every time. I have not had an issue getting on target with using the bullet drop in this scope. I have it mounted on top of my Remington 700, and I'm shooting 168 grain bullets, so it's getting me on no problem all the time. So like I said, I'm very happy with the scope. It is definitely worth the money. If you're, going back and forth between the 4 to 14 or the 3 to 18 or another company that is comparable in price, I would definitely lean towards this. And ever since I got my first Primary Arms, it has been working out really well. And I think this is my fourth or fifth Primary Arms scope that I have in my collection. And really, I mean, for the money and the value that you're getting, it is definitely worth getting. Just knowing from experience, this scope is really nice. With this scope, I've shot it anywhere from 3 to 700 yards, not knowing the distance, just setting up targets anywhere from close to far, and just looking through the scope, trying to figure out where it's at, line it up to the marking that it needs to be at, and then moving over a little bit, put it on that line with the bullet drop, and pull the trigger. And it gets you on every time. I mean, it's kind of remarkable how good the math is inside this reticle. And it really, I mean, I don't have an issue with it. And I don't think you're going to have an issue with it either. I mean, especially being able to dial and everything else, I would suggest this scope. There's a couple other things I want to do with it. I have some other videos coming out soon. So I hope this video was helpful. I hope you get something from it. If it's something you like, if you want to see more, hit that subscribe button. If this video helped you out at all, please hit that like button. And go ahead and leave a message if there's anything you need, if you have any questions about. And I will get back to you as soon as possible and try and answer all your questions. So until next time, guys, have a good one and be free and get out and shoot.